when you explaining perhaps the Big Bang theory, what would you say is the cause of it? And if there are any, religious people listening to us, which I bet there are, how come you bypass the God
Yeah.
explanation?
So my favorite toy model, which is not by at all embraced by anyone else, is that once we develop an intelligent civilization like ours, let's say 1,000,000 years after they discovered quantum mechanics, they have at last, it's not string theory, but they have a different theory that unifies quantum mechanics and gravity. And then they realize what happened before the Big Bang, because right now we can't extrapolate beyond the Big Bang because Einstein's theory breaks down. We don't have a quantum theory that will give us a prediction, but let's say in 1,000,000 years we might. So just think about such a civilization. It has a recipe for how to create a baby universe, because it's just like a recipe for a cake. If you have the ingredients and you have the oven to put them together, you will end up with a cake of a particular type. So if we understood what were the conditions that led to the Big Bang, before the Big Bang, then we would know what's needed to make a universe like ourselves, like ours.
Yeah.
And that is a very dangerous knowledge in principle, or not dangerous, but the biggest knowledge you can imagine having, because if you can generate those conditions in the laboratory, you will be able to create a baby universe. So,
isn't digitally creating it is perhaps even
oh no, so it's not fiction, it's reality. So you just need to focus a large enough amount of energy in a small enough volume of space such that you create the conditions leading to the Big Bang. I mean, very crudely, you would say you need to reach the Planck density of energy, meaning that's the highest energy density that we can imagine based on what we know about quantum mechanics and gravity. And so if you reach that density of energy density, you may actually naturally lead to a baby universe. It's very difficult to imagine an accelerator that will smash particles that create that. Otherwise, we would be able to test experimentally theories of quantum gravity. But my point is, maybe there would be some breakthrough that we are not recognizing now that would allow us to reach that point. And then, if that's the case, then it's just like generations of humans, okay, that each generation gives birth to the next generation. And so if within our universe there is a sufficiently advanced technological civilization, then after some time, it will reach the point where it can create a baby universe, and then we'll get a new branch out of it. And perhaps our universe is there are reasons why is it so symmetric. It's uniform, nearly uniform, and the same in all directions. Maybe that's the easiest one to produce. And also, if you can produce that, then out of it will come new civilizations that will create another Big Bang and so forth. So that is my idea, but it's not clear. I mean, and by the way, it's not the same as the simulation theory, because people confuse the two. The simulation theory says that reality that we perceive is not real. It's actually part of a simulation. I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's real. And within this reality that we live through, there are potential civilizations that have quantum gravity engineers that give birth to new universes, if it's possible.
I understand what you're saying, and we will go into reality as a thing in a minute. But I get all the time the comments in my videos, and again, forgive me for my ignorance. I'm here talking to such a world-renowned scientist. People always comment on my videos when I talk about evolution that it's been debunked and there's no such thing. Many views. It's like a common thing, and I think that the Big Bang is more of an outrageous thought to consider.
It is. Einstein admitted that. He thought that it's more natural to have the universe forever, because otherwise, what you should ask what preceded that Big Bang. And It's like the chicken and the egg problem.
Exactly, yeah.
What happened before chicken existed, and eggs existed, there was something else, right? So it's possible that our universe started from something else. It has to be, but eventually it ended up with these big bangs that came out of quantum gravity engineers. I wouldn't be surprised. Another possibility is, of course, these are possibilities people are discussing, that a collapsing, contracting universe reaches a point where the density of matter and radiation is large enough for it to bounce, and then you end up with a big bang, which then it's like a cycle. This is called the cyclic universe. But fundamentally, we just don't know what happened before. And of course, religious people say, we told you so in the Old Testament. We talked about a beginning in time. The question is, if there was a creator and it was not a quantum gravity engineer, if you call a quantum gravity engineer God, I'm okay with that. But if you want to say, no, there was a creator beyond everything we know about, then the question is, wasn't it boring for this creator before the Big Bang? Like there was nothing, and then why would it decide at some point to act and create what we have? Because whenever you act, it means that you're missing something, right? So if it's God, it has to have everything. It shouldn't be bored. By the way, God is also definitely not a parent that can attend to one child. So
the other thing with it is, I don't know if you are aware to the depth of the Babylon story, the Tower of Babylon story, which sometimes being referred to as just the human arrogance.
And we see that today, of course.
And we see it today. Anytime we want to go above God as a civilization.
So obviously there are religious people, but there are also secular people in society.
Of course. Yeah.
And for the secular people, I would say Elon Musk is not the most accomplished space entrepreneur since the Big Bang. And if we meet aliens that are more advanced than we are, they will give us a sense of humility. So they will play the role of superhumans. Friedrich Nietzsche in 1882 argued that God is dead, and he advocated for a superhuman mentality. Yeah. But the point is...
And we don't have enough water to wash away all the blood, which is
my point is that if he was part of the council that I'm leading, Friedrich Nietzsche, and I would be happy to have him around, and we were to discover that there are non-human technologies that we found evidence for, and then he might realize that there is superhuman intelligence and entities that are not God. So when he said God is dead, he forgot about aliens.
Whoa. But do you think that any type of uncontacted civilization out there, do you think they must be inside this universe, which includes the Big Bang in it?
Well, that has to do with the structure of space-time, right?
Yeah.
So the way we understand physics right now is that the speed of light is the speed limit. And unlike the speed limit on a highway that you can break, you cannot break the speed of light based on everything we know. Because that would immediately have consequences with causality. That you could go back in time and perhaps convince your parents not to give birth to yourself. So that's a contradiction. Anyway, according to physics as we know it, speed of light is the limit. And that means that since the Big Bang, there was a distance, a maximum distance that light traveled. That is our cosmic horizon. We don't know what's out beyond that. I mean, we have a hint because we see the radiation that came from the Big Bang. It's called the cosmic microwave background. The universe became transparent. It was hot early on, but became transparent 400,000 years after the Big Bang. So we see that radiation from 400,000 years after the Big Bang. It's like a photosphere surrounding us, like the photosphere of the sun. That's the region from where we see the radiation coming from the sun. The sun is much hotter in the interior, but we see only the outer part. And that's where the gas around the sun becomes transparent, so we can see the surface. And the same is true about the universe, except we're sitting inside of it. So we're seeing this surface of when the cosmic microwave background was last scattered 400,000 years after the Big Bang. We can't see what happened in radiation. We can't see beyond that because
It's literally
it
the
was
event
opaque.
horizon.
It was opaque. So
Yeah.
it's the horizon of our observations with telescopes for light. But in principle, you can detect gravitational waves or neutrinos that can traverse matter much more easily, and so you can see them from earlier times. But we haven't done so. We haven't detected the cosmic neutrino background, the cosmic gravitational wave background. People are working on that. But the radiation that we see from that 400,000 years after the Big Bang, it seems to be uniform across the sky in all directions, the same, up to 1 part in 100,000. Mm-hmm. And the deviations from the brightness fluctuations are the seeds for the structures that we see in the universe today. So there are small variations. The point is, given that the variations are very small, we can tell that the universe has the same conditions if you continue 4,000 times farther than the cosmic horizon. Because if there was a cliff that was closer than, let's say, 4,000 times the cosmic horizon, then we would notice it. The gravitational influence of it would be imprinted on the microwave background. So we can tell not only that the observable universe is pretty much uniform, but the same applies to a distance that is 4,000 times larger. And that's what we know. We don't know what happens beyond that. But within that region, everything seems to be very similar and well prepared and symmetric. And so that's remarkable. And the question is, what created those initial conditions and how, what was there before the beginning? And obviously, there are lots of, planets, stars, potentially intelligent beings, not only within our cosmic horizon, but well beyond that. They have their own cosmic horizon. They don't know what we are doing. They can speculate.
Yeah. So this drives me into the subject of reality itself, which is, there's the what came before. You said before with the chicken and egg. There's the observer and the and the thing you are observing. The universe itself.
Well, we are just spectators. We are players on the stage. Yeah.
Or perhaps everything that there is just consciousness. And
I don't think so.
You don't think so, yeah.
No, because you can, if it's consciousness, you can imagine that reality is much better than it is. You can imagine that you have $1 trillion in your bank account. That will give you pleasure. There is only one person that it's a reality for him, and that's Elon Musk. Right now, he's the first trillionaire. My point is, you can get pleasure from this thought, and you might want to believe it. But of course, you can check it by going to the bank and checking your amount of money, and you will realize that you don't have that. Now, so in my mind, there is a clear difference between imagined reality and the actual reality. Because,
but how do you know that, excuse me for simplifying the conversation, but how do you know that you are not right now just in somewhere talking to a white wall and you don't know?
Because I haven't seen evidence for pixelization of reality the way you see in movies, or in fact, the best clocks that we have, see the time as continuum, not if you usually, these cameras that you are using right now, they have a frame rate. And if we were to examine the video that you're recording closely, we would realize that there are snapshots, one after the other, and they're separated by fixed amounts of time. And that means you are not taking an image in between these snapshots. So we haven't seen pixelization of reality in that way. We haven't seen in doing an experiment that, we see reality at one time and only a fixed time later.
Of course.
So far, even the best clocks that go to a precision of 1 part in 10 to the 18, very precise. But they don't see.
Yeah, but of course, I'm talking to an imperial scientist, so it's there's the thing. But a thing that humbled me in this matter, which is light years difference between us. But I had a friend who became schizophrenic, and then I understood that the entire of my experience is just by
in your mind,
just in my mind.
But my point is that, of course, there are many people in mental institutions that believe that they are Napoleon, okay? There are many such people.
But he doesn't know.
And also, I should say, there are lots of people who take recreational drugs and feel better.
Of course.
Yeah. So, of course, if your objective is to feel good, you can believe in things and just enjoy that. But as a scientist, my obligation is to, I'm in love with reality. Now, what does that mean? It means that I will get more pleasure, let's say, from imagining a beautiful, let's say, woman that I can be in love with, and she would look fantastic. But then in reality, I see another woman that has, some scars, has some, she's not perfect.
Yeah.
You would think that I would prefer the imagined reality. But no, I prefer the real person because it's real. And I would like to know everything about all the faults of that person if I'm in love with her.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Because the true meaning of love, as far as I'm concerned, is to be interested also in the things that are not necessarily complementing. Imperfections. Exactly. Yeah. Because then that gives authenticity to the existence of the other. So to me, love represents trying to learn everything about the other side, even if it doesn't give you pleasure, because you're in love with that subject. And of course, I could get more pleasure from imagined things, but they would not be real and I would not enjoy them. So as a scientist, one way to think of me as a scientist is that I'm engaged in the act of love towards the physical reality. I want to know its limitations. If the speed of light is a limit, I want to know about it. I would not enjoy a Steven Spielberg film in which there is a violation of the speed of light. I would not enjoy it because even though it's more pleasurable, and obviously Spielberg wants to give red meat to the audience and make them happy, but that's not my objective. My objective is not to be happy. I'm in love with the actual thing that we live with, its limitation, with its constraints, even though Steven Spielberg finds it limiting to his script. That's what I'm interested in. Yeah. I'm interested in the limitations, in the things that make reality imperfect, but it makes it unique. It's one out of many possibilities that will give us more pleasure. But reality is under no contract to make us happy. And if you notice, people that you're attracted to are under no contract to make you happy.
Of course not, yeah.